energy. High
Hey,
energy
welcome
episode.
to Sayreportjr, everybody.
Oh, you said you were gonna hit the button, and I still was just like, I'm gonna keep talking
Yep,
anyway.
yeah. It was okay. I think it was a good. I think it was a good way to start.
Ugh.
The cleanest opening we have was the Power Ranger episode, so it's okay. Welcome to Sayreport. What?
We can only do that once every week. Look,
Yeah,
I've
I know.
already. Oh God. Okay.
Wait, we
Anyway,
only record once every week.
I meant once every other episode. Oh
Once
my
every
God, I
month.
can't talk in this audio format.
All right. Well, as you could probably tell by now, this is Sayreport Jr., where we never know how to talk. I'm one of your hosts, Dale Decker. I forgot that I still had to keep talking. I was like, Zach's gonna take it. Zach's gonna take
Zach's
it
gonna
up
jump
soon,
in
right?
eventually.
Right?
I'm the other host, Zach, who I was like, oh, I was all prepared too. I was gonna introduce myself a special way to introduce one of the things I was gonna talk about, and then I just completely out of my head once we actually started recording.
I feel like that happens to me all the time. Like before tonight too, I was like, I'm ready to record. Like, let's do this. And then like it gets to the moment where I'm about to hit the button, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing
What are,
right now?
what are
What do I
words?
have to
What are
do?
words?
But yeah. So I mean, I guess we should start off. Well, is there anything you need to start with, or are we just gonna get right into
Uh,
how your week was?
well, no, I mean, I could talk about what I've been doing. So I again took another little bit of a break from the Nuzlocke after I learned that I did something backwards, skipped an entire portion of the game, and gonna go back and do it. Um,
Oh damn.
yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
what
like
you skipped a
it's
gym,
weird.
right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird because so in the way that I discovered this is that what I've been doing on my off time is playing Pokemon Yellow normally. So apparently my vacation from Nuzlocke is
Is
to just play
Pokemon.
more Pokemon, but normally. Um,
That's great.
and also like so the other big difference to that though being the Gen 1 20-year-old game versus the Gen 3, 15-year-old game. But like just the giant quality of life changes that they made in the Pokemon series between those two versions of the game is immense. Because I'm at literally the same exact point in Pokemon Yellow now where I am in the Nuzlocke, and the difference just in like the levels of the gym, like by like the fifth and sixth gym levels are like almost upwards of level 50, whereas in Leaf Green and Fire Red, they're at like
Yeah.
40. So
Yeah.
like they really did some major adjustment. Plus just the fact that I can't tell what Pokemon is what, which is why I can't nickname them in the
Oh,
Gen 1 things, because their sprites are so bad that
yep.
if you nickname them, you suddenly have no idea what Pokemon you're looking at unless you go into like their stats page. Because all of the bug Pokemon have the same sprites,
Yep.
and all of the water Pokemon have the same sprites.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time I think I had a Bulbasaur, and I was like, what the hell is that thing? Because I think I also caught a Rattata. And I was like, why are these? Because I think
Oh yeah,
they're
when you open
still
up the
similar.
Pokemon,
Like,
yeah,
or Bulbasaur might even be a freaking oddish sprite. And I was like, what? I don't understand.
yeah, when you like open up the Pokemon menu and it's just like, oh yeah, everything that like walks on four legs and on land looks like a little lizard sprite
Yep.
here in the menu.
Yep. Everything that's a
Uh,
plant-based characters and now an oddish.
yep.
Um, everything that slithers is a snake.
So
What?
yeah, so I've just been replaying that, and that's been interesting. Just as a change up from things. Other than that, though, I mean, oh, that was the other thing. I started watching Winona Earp. I was trying to remember what I did while I was playing Pokemon, because what I really did was I put on stuff in the background while I played Pokemon all week.
You
So
started watching what?
Winona Earp. It's a sci-fi original series. At least the first two, if not three seasons are up on Netflix, and it is one of the just campiest, cheesiest shows I have ever watched, and that is still currently running.
Okay.
It's like if Supernatural were cheesier, and that is hard to do. So the story
Interesting.
the story to Winona Earp is that the like Wyatt Earp family line is cursed, and
Okay.
so they have to like every generation one of them is chosen to be the one that carries the gun that they had to name because, of course, it's a sci-fi show, so it's called Peacemaker.
Well, when
Which,
you're dealing with a curse
of
too, you
course,
need to your
yeah.
thing needs to have
I
a
mean,
name.
here's the thing. In history, the gun he might have actually called the gun Peacemaker, and I don't actually know the actual history of Wyatt Earp, which is even more fun when you watch this because I think like it's this show is made for people who know one thing about Wyatt Earp, and that's that the movie Tombstone was about Wyatt Earp.
I'm
Like
gonna.
that's
I didn't even know it was a real person. Didn't even know there was history. So I'm in the same boat as you, kinda.
so but it's great because the show is just like of course like Winona is written like if Buffy were more of a drunk
Okay.
and
Nice.
also were written by like a team of women. Like it was the show is created by a woman, it's mostly written and directed by women, so it's like if Buffy had a female team behind it instead of
Okay.
just Joss Whedon. But you've got
Interesting.
Winona and you've got her little sister and you've got an immortal Doc Holliday and
What?
you've got her yeah yeah so
What?
and like the whole thing is that like every generation you have this chosen one that is supposed to what it is like all of the people that Wyatt Earp killed in his lifetime keep coming back to life with every time there's a new heir, and the only way to stop it is if someone could kill all of them. And of course, up until now, no one has killed all of them, which means that they always keep coming back. And
Huh.
so it's like 3 or 4 generations down the line now. So it's like 70% of it is like the cheesiest writing and the not great acting, but the other 30% of it almost makes up for all of that just on like charm alone. It's like I have no idea why I started watching this. I think because there's someone I follow on Twitter who retweets about it all the time, and I was like, you know what, fine, I need something to put on, so I put it on, and I didn't stop. I'm already halfway through like season 2 now.
Oh wow.
After like
Okay.
starting this on Labor Day. This is like what
So,
I put
oh
on
wow.
Labor Day.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
this is like what
you
I put on Labor Day, and I just didn't stop watching it all day.
Wow.
So
Okay, that's impressive. So is it so when they come back, are they zombified versions of
they
themselves, or are
they're,
they like the same person, just
they're like
reborn?
the same person, but they're like demonic versions of themselves.
Okay.
So like they're like, I mean, it's a lot like the again to compare it to Buffy. It's a lot like the vampires in Buffy, where it's like they act just like the person that they killed, but technically a demon has taken over the body.
Got you.
It's that
That's
that
very
demon
cool.
has the same memories as the human, so they're interchangeable largely.
Okay, cool.
And then I also want to point out that just to put this out there, the main antagonist of season 1 is a guy named Bobo who looks like if Ethan Hawke got like buff for like a superhero movie. He's got like if yeah like 6.5 feet tall buff Ethan Hawke.
That's
That's what this guy looks
fantastic.
like. So like
That's amazing.
so yeah, I mean it's definitely worth watching. It's just like it's very like it actually really nicely blends that whole like season long arc story thing with like not even monster of the week because it's usually like it's the same group of people they're dealing with, so it's not even but it does do kind of the monster of the week formula and pulls that off really well in a way that like in its later years Supernatural it gets really annoying with that
Yeah.
stuff, but I think because it's doing this from the get-go like it works really well. And it's just it's I I I just don't know how else to talk about how just dumb but fun it is to watch. Like the perfect like turn your brain off and watch this thing
That's fine.
kind
Like
of show.
that's
So
I love those shows. And I think I've mentioned how I love shows where I can just turn my brain off and have fun with it. And I don't know why, but while you're explaining it, for some reason I like thought of how it was probably filmed.
excuse me.
And you okay? You good?
Yep, I'm good. Like coughed in like was trying to not burp into my microphone at the same time. Just like my head almost
That's
exploded.
fantastic. Oh, I
Anyway,
forgot to tell Devin that I started recording, and now he's coming down here to
oh
move his stuff over to the dryer.
oh, it's a good professional week for us.
I'm
Anyway, how it was filmed.
Yeah, so I was thinking about, for some reason, I've never seen this show, but now I want to. But for some reason, I don't know if you ever watched the show Making History.
No, but
No?
I've heard is that the Okay, explain it to me before I
So it's
try to
about
guess what it is.
so it's about a guy who he works at a college, and his dad also worked at the college, I believe, and then his dad, Devon's down here. He might correct me, but his dad like made a time machine in a duffel bag.
Okay, yes, that is what I was thinking it
So
was. I was about to be like, is this the time travel show? But I didn't want to say
yes,
that and be
yeah.
wrong.
So it's
Okay.
the time travel show, and for some reason, while you were explaining that show, the Winona, what is it?
Winona
Winona,
Earp. That's
Winona
the other thing.
Earp.
That's the best thing about it too, is that it's specifically pronounced Winona, which is weird every time they say it, because in my head it should just be Winona, like
Yes,
just like Winona Ryder,
that's so
but
funny.
instead it's Winona
Yeah.
from everybody in their bad Canadian they're already kind of cheesy
Oh my
Canadian accents
god.
that they're all hiding with really bad Western accents.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah, but
uh,
so when you're explaining that, like I just kept on thinking of how Making History was filmed in like it just was like very campy and cheesy, but like really, really good at what it did. But so I don't know why I
yeah,
made the connection in my head. And they probably have nothing to do with each other in any way. But Making History, you should definitely. It's not. It disappoints me that it's not on anymore and that it got
I
canceled
remember
because it
it
was
like
so
did it get
freaking
canceled
good.
on like a cliffhanger too?
Yes,
Yeah.
like it sucks. Like
Uh,
it was so good.
yeah, and I mean, what I would say was probably what a good way to connect these would be to talk about the fact that they probably are made by people who absolutely love what they were doing, even if they
Yes.
didn't have like a huge budget to do that.
Yeah.
So like the special effects in Minota Earp, not great. Every time she kills one of these things, it's like this like really bad effect of them being sucked into hell
Mhm.
pops up
Nice.
on the ground that then just disappears. It doesn't leave like a bird mark or anything. It's just like very clearly like, okay, they got sucked into hell and now it's gone. And it's
Never
like,
was here.
never
Everybody
here.
go back to what you were doing.
Yep.
Nothing just happened.
And
That's
like if
funny.
their eyes go red sometimes, not all the time, just sometimes when they want to like emphasize something, and then it's like the effect to make their eyes glow is not particularly well executed.
Oh god. Oh well, now I need to watch this.
Oh
Now
man.
I need to just try it.
And you should. I mean, it's like and it's it is weird because like it's very especially the first episode is a little tropey. Like the first cut and like it takes
Yeah.
a few episodes to find its footing like any show does, but it's just like especially with like the like Doc Holliday, who is like because they've he like got cursed and he's immortal, so he comes out of a well after like 100 something years,
Yeah.
and so he's just like the lines they give him that are supposed to be like old timey cowboy sayings are like the dumbest things that ever come out of a guy's mouth. Where it's just like, "Well, I'll just skin a cat," and it's like, "Whoa, dude!"
Okay, so that's why I keep thinking of Making History
It's
because
like,
there's Thomas Jefferson and like Sam Adams become prominent spoilers, whatever, become prominent like characters and they come to the future and interact with people in the future and it's just like what the hell? What are you saying right now? This is ridiculous.
and yet like and yet like in none of this like they don't the things that they avoid the tropey things that they avoid are like really it looks like they very clearly made a point not to do this, like her boss in the show, like she ends up working for what's essentially like the X-Files version of the US Marshals, because Wild West US Marshals, we had to do that. So but her boss is a black guy, and they never make Doc Holliday make a single comment about him, about like race or anything.
Oh
Like
wow, okay.
it's not like they brought him back and it's like, well, oh my God, a black man in charge. I can't believe that. Like they just avoided it. They're just
Yeah.
like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're gonna avoid that. And
That's
so
good.
it's like, yeah, we'll do some of the tropey stuff just because this is fantasy and that's what you do, but we're not gonna do the dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not worth doing the dumb stuff. We've got other stories to tell that are way better. So
Good. That's yeah, now I need to watch it. God damn it, Zach.
very good pitch, man. I should be hired by sci-fi. Um,
Oh my god, you should. You should write them a letter. Be like, hire me.
I've
Listen
gotten
to
my
this
friend to watch a
episode.
show. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh man.
So what have you been up to?
So what have I been up to? Well, I watched all three Mighty Ducks movies finally. Freaking love them.
I'm trying to remember. I have seen. So we owned D2 for whatever reason. That was the one we owned, and so I've
It's the
seen that
best
a
one.
million times. And I've seen the first one a handful of times. I don't know the last time I saw D3.
Oh, that's
Really?
okay. You can just forget about D3 because it's the worst one. I am so upset at it. Not upset like I'm gonna go burn down like a tree or something, but it's just it's the first two movies are so much fun, and it's so these people love each other. This team, they're ducks. Ducks fly together. All right, ducks
That
fly together.
that in like D2 is just the Miracle on Ice retold with
It
children, which
really
is like
is.
the funny.
It really. Who do you play for? Um, but then D3 happens, and Emilio Estevez is like, "Peace out, guys. I'm gonna take this job. I'm not gonna stay with you because I am an adult and I need to move on with my life and career."
Forget the fact that you children saved me 5 times
Exactly.
over from my
No.
depression.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I just, screw you guys. No. But so he's not even in the picture. So then Charlie's all angsty going into high school, doesn't know what the hell he's doing. His father figure is freaking gone. And then it's just a movie that is filled with nothing but hate. And it's like this is not
You can't do
not what's
angsty teenage Mighty Ducks. It doesn't work that way.
it doesn't work like that. Like they're the junior varsity team at this high school, and varsity is like, you guys don't belong here. You're just a charity case. Blah blah blah. And it's like you literally play for the same team. Yes, it's junior varsity and varsity, but like you play for the same school.
You
Like,
don't even play the same
not even-
games together.
exactly.
These are not people that are gonna outrank you
No,
at some point.
No, it's like they're junior varsity. They pose no threat. It's not like Charlie's gonna all of a sudden be good, amazing, better than you, and like, oh, you're kicked off varsity. That doesn't fucking happen. That doesn't. No. Like and now, oh my god, I'm getting so upset because D3 is such. It's just so. It makes me so upset. The kid, what's his name? Oh, Banks. Adam Banks. He, in the first movie, was on the rival team, right? And then because district laws,
Oh, that guy,
yeah,
that character.
yeah,
Okay, I remember him now.
Banksy, which, let me tell you what made me upset about that, because I started calling him Banksy because it's a good nickname for someone whose last name is Banks. But, so, he comes onto the Ducks, and he becomes a duck. Like, no doubt, he is a duck. True and true, Adam Banks is a duck. I think his name is Adam. Then in the third movie, he gets put on varsity as a freshman, and it's like, why you gotta split them up again?
That just sounds like someone was like, "Oh, this is no, you don't get it. It's cyclical storytelling, man. We're going back to the first one, but we're doing it in reverse. We're taking him off the tee."
It's just so lazy. Like, it is so lazy that they did that. And then they have the audacity to have the captain of the varsity team call him Banksy. I was so upset. I screamed at the TV.
That is my word. You cannot take that from me.
I was like, that's my nickname for him. You don't get to say that. But it's like this like huge prank war starts, and it's like serious pranks. Like, this is not what high schoolers should be pranking each other with. Like, you could get hurt. You could seriously kill someone with some of the pranks that they're doing. It's like, okay, done. And then, like, the coach, there's so much anger towards the coach just because he's not Emilio Estevez.
Not Emilio Estevez, yeah. Well, like, I mean, to be fair, if I lost Emilio Estevez in my life, I would be upset with anyone trying to replace him.
That's true. I don't know. And then, I don't know how well you remember D3, but there's that scene. Do you remember Hans?
I want to say I saw it, like, once,
okay,
so
right.
probably not.
Do you remember, I think his name's Hans or whatever, the, like, the old guy who, he's the mentor, he has the skate shop.
Yes, okay, yes.
His brother is in the second movie, and then he comes back for the third movie. So, Charlie goes, and he's, like, become young Emilio Estevez in the Ducks world.
Oh,
And he
Joshua
goes,
Jackson just wishes.
and so, and so Charlie goes and he's like, I need to talk to you. Like, I'm so upset. And then I think I want to say Hans. I'm probably wrong, but it sounds right. And Hans is like, maybe you just gotta give him a chance. And then Charlie is such a dick to him. It's like, and I've seen Disney movies. I've seen a movie before. It's like, oh, and he starts coughing. And it's like,
Oh,
an old guy with coughing, that doesn't look good in a movie. And I'm
nope.
like, I swear to God, if the next scene is him dying, I'm done. And then it was. And that is something that I hate in movies or in television. When someone is like a dick to someone and then immediately leaves and then that person immediately dies.
Because that's the only possible way for you to feel bad about being a jerk to someone is
Yeah.
if they died immediately.
Yeah, like, no. It is, and it happened, like, a couple nights before, too, in something that we watched. And it just, like, oh, really? Okay. So this is happening twice, and I have to deal with it twice. Like, it's such a lazy thing, in my opinion. And it happens when it's with a kid, too. When the kid is just being, like, an angsty teen. It's like, why? Why does that their lesson? Why is that when they become, oh, I need to be better at life?
Because that's the only way that
no!
these crazy kids will learn,
No!
Dale. It's the only way,
But
because kids don't know
no!
anything unless you give them permanent consequences for their jerky actions.
No, it's not. No, I refuse to believe that. So yeah, so it's so filled with hate. Like, it just did not compute. It did not fit with the other Ducks movies, so I pretend it does not exist.
I'm fine with that. I'm
Yeah.
always gonna be fine with D2 because I can tell you right now the reason that I probably like watched D2 the most or bought that one specifically is because it's the one where Keenan shows up.
Yes.
And I was probably just like, oh, okay, Keenan's in this movie. Sure, I'll own that.
And like that's why that movie is so good because it brings in Keenan. And it's like, yeah, there's other ways to play hockey. You need to learn how to actually play street hockey and like how to do that so you can incorporate it onto the ice. Like, it all works together. You need to
And,
work
like,
together and be a team.
For a movie I've not watched in God probably over a decade, I already I remember the specific scene that introduces him where he's just out. Are they playing basketball or are they playing hockey on the basketball court? I think when he's standing on the fence just like making fun of them.
Yeah, so there's I think he shows up at one of their games first. So he's because they have to go to California.
Right.
Sorry.
For the Junior Olympics.
For the Junior Olympics.
Where we're going to fight Russia in the 90s.
And he lives it. Yeah, that was weird.
Oh, God, I love
lives
it.
in California. So when they go to their first game is when I think he like starts heckling them.
Yes.
And then he's at a second game and then
they find him at the street hockey game.
I don't know if they find him at the street. I'm trying to remember it correctly. I don't know if they find him there or if like he's like meet me here for like we'll show you how to play hockey kind of situation, and then like they do. Like it's not just talk. It's like no, you guys need to learn something.
Yeah, because and then of course like D2 also opens with that we're getting the band back together montage.
So good.
Of like, oh, Junior Olympics are coming up. Time to go round up everybody and get on to California.
D2 is probably my favorite of the three. And like it makes me sad because it gets rid of like the characters that I really enjoyed in the first Mighty Ducks. But like, there's a reason why they got rid of those characters.
Yeah, it's like, okay, which ones are the most lighthearted and comedically timed? Okay, good. Get Josh Jackson. We'll add in Keenan. Get Goldberg. We're good.
Oh my God! Like, yeah, and that's where like ducks fly together. Ducks fly together, man. Ducks fly together. There's no hatred in the Mighty Ducks world.
There is not.
You know what? D3 conspiracy unlocked. D3 alternate dimension.
Dimensioning?
Dimensioning. Where hatred is what rules the world.
It's the dark, gritty reboot of Mighty Ducks. They just named it D3.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the
So
Crow was
yeah,
really popular.
so,
We didn't know what else to do.
and we needed to make a third one because
Josh
why
Josh
not?
Jackson's already really angsty on Dawson's Creek, and we needed to do.
Oh my god. But yeah, so I watched those, loved it, and then I saw Kin,
Oh,
and
I've been like seeing previews for that, and I'd heard a lot about that because I knew
oh
it was like a short before it was like the
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
So I had seen a lot of people talking about that.
yeah. I didn't like it. Oh,
Really?
that was the other thing. Oh well, spoilers for Kin. First of all, do you care if I spoil Kin for you?
Well, no, because this. I mean, I haven't seen any reviews for it or anything. So
Okay, so you don't care. So
no.
I did not like it at all. Really did not like it. And it was, remember when I was like, there was another thing that we were watching that, there's a fight and then the person immediately dies?
Yes,
It happens
was
in Kin,
okay.
like early on. And I was like done with the movie after that point because I'm like, this isn't how you write pain. This is not how you convey pain. There's so many better ways to convey, like, being a jerk and pain and all of this. Like, this is just lazy. Killing off a character in this situation is lazy writing, in my opinion. But have you seen anything about Kin?
I mean, not just the trailer, and then like I'd seen some people talking about the short, the that it's based on. So other than that, that's all I really know
So based
about
on,
it.
so what do you think it's about?
I mean, the kid finds crazy sci-fi gun,
Yes.
and then there are people that want crazy sci-fi gun, and then I don't know. It looked like they were kind of like a poorer family, and so there was like a whole kind of like it looked like there would be like some sort of like cops versus poor people statement being made about about that, and the fact that he has this like super powerful gun to fight back against the government that seems to want to, I don't know, be mean to them, something like that.
That
That
would
was
have
like kind
been a
of the
better
impression.
movie.
That's definitely the impression I got from the trailer. Was like that's what the story was about. Kind of
That-
like Attack the Block is like has like a whole story going through it about like poor kids and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
like that was the story. That was what I thought it was.
That would have been a better movie, let me tell
Oh,
you. The
God.
space gun situation takes up probably like, if you total it up, maybe like 20 minutes of the movie. Like, it's not.
It's like the whole trailer and the whole short. The
yeah.
whole short was about okay.
No.
So
So it opens up. It is, yeah. So the kid, he's adopted by Dennis Quaid. All right. So Dennis Quaid and his wife have a son. That son is a screw up. But I think he's just a screw up later on. And then they adopt another son. And so there is like a racial situation there, kind of. Like it's touched upon a little bit because the son that they adopt is black. And he's like called their replacement son by his brother, and like just to like stab a knife into Dennis Quaid.
And speaking of tropes about things, it's like, oh, adoptive son is like biological son hates adoptive son.
Yeah, but it's so weird because the biological son, I don't remember her name. He was in Transformers with Mark Wahlberg. He's the boyfriend in Transformers. Yeah. So anyways, so he's the biological son. He goes to jail for like stealing for theft pretty much. And his dad is like, you can come stay with us, whatever. He tells his son, I'm trying to remember his name. Elliot, maybe? Eli, I think is his name. So the young brother's name is Eli. I don't remember the older brother's name. So, yeah, because his name's Elijah. I'm remembering things about this terrible movie. So Eli, Dennis Quaid tells Eli, like, you need to be careful of your brother. Like, don't trust him, blah, blah, blah. He went to jail. Like, he's bad. He's a bad guy. He comes home. Dennis Quaid and him have, like, a huge, like, fight. And he goes out and he meets up with James Franco. Who James Franco is, like, a loan shark. Like, a very dangerous loan shark. And is like, if you don't pay me the money that
But what character does he play in the movie? Ha 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 ha. Anyway.
uh, so basically, like the biological brother paid James Franco to keep him safe in prison, and now he can't pay him back. So it's like that's the story, pretty much. So then he goes to Dennis Quaid and is like, "Dad, I need your help. Like, these guys protected me in prison. I need to pay them back. I will get you back. I just need your help, please." And Dennis Quaid says, "No. Like, I don't care what you're doing. Like, consequences and all this." So then the son knows that Dennis Quaid's business has, and they're not well off. They are pretty much a poor family. Like, they don't, like, Eli starts junking. So he goes to like abandoned places and will just steal scrap and all of that. And Dennis Quaid's finally gets upset because he's like afraid that his adopted son is going to go down the path of his biological son. And it's just a lot going on. There's really not that much going on. But anyway, so biological son, who I'm going to call Charlie, just for sake of names. Charlie is like, goes to James Franco and says, "I know where there's money. We can steal it. We can snag it. It's fine." So they go to his dad's place of work, Dennis Quaid's place of work, and Dennis Quaid is there with Elijah. He pulls up and he sees that the light is on. So he walks into the situation while they're robbing the safe, and Dennis Quaid gets shot by James Franco, and Charlie is like, I meant to ask you to go. Like, he was pleading for him to leave, and then he gets killed, like, immediately. So I was like, well, this is great, because it's another situation where you had a huge fight with your father, and now your father is dead. Like, there's no way you can ever say sorry. There's no way you can ever repay him. You can never, like, help him. Like, you can't do any of that shit. And the last words you had with him were basically, "Fuck you." You know? Then he runs to the car, and Elijah is there, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, Dad, whatever. I met up with Dad, and it's okay. Dad's there. He's going to meet us at home." And then, like, proceeds to lie to his brother that his father is still alive. Goes to the length of faking phone calls and all of this shit. And it's like, all right. Now I'm really not with this movie.
See, executed better, what you're describing sounds like a fairly riveting drama.
Yeah.
The problem is, I know for a fact that this was supposed to be like a sci-fi indie movie.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking is nothing you've described so far is science fiction.
Yeah, the only
and so
stuff...
it feels like the sci-fi stuff is just like tacked
there.
into it.
It really is. So he finds the weapon, like, within the gun, the space gun, whatever.
Right.
Like, within maybe the first 10 minutes of the movie. And then he, like, plays with it, and he shoots it, and he sees all this futuristic gadgets and the scientific gadgets and whatnot. He finds, like, these quote-unquote, like, dead bodies. And then he goes home, hides the gun, and then, like, there's one more scene where he's playing with it in his house because he gets suspended from school for starting a fight. So there's, like, two scenes. Then, when his brother comes back, he's like, "We need to leave. We're going on vacation. Dad's going to meet us. Don't worry." He brings the gun. He brings the space gun. And then it doesn't show up again for, like, another 20 minutes. Because it's all, like, road trip stuff.
Oh, my God.
And, like, him lying to his brother about Dennis Quaid being dead. So then they go to a strip joint, and Charlie gets drunk, and then Eli comes in with the gun and scares the shit out of the people. And then there's, like, another little bit of time where he's, like, playing with the gun in a field, and then again it's just like, we're on the run from James Franco. Like, we're going, and then they steal more money. Like, it's just so inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, it just really sounds like someone. I mean, it sounds like someone was like, "Oh, this is a really good short. We should turn this into a larger movie," and like no one knew how to actually do
Yeah.
that.
If
Like no one
if
was like this. If it was contained so well within its
yeah.
original short film nature, like there was no reason to expand it,
Yeah.
and then that and so it just feels like they went, well, just tack in a bunch of old drama tropey bullshit until we've got a 2 hour movie, and then there
Yeah.
we go.
And it was just like it was really disappointing cuz the science fiction part of it was really cool. And it it felt like Destiny in a way too, which is weird, but they had like an orb that could survey the area and then recreate the thing. And the orb looked like a ghost from Destiny. Their suits looked very Destiny like armor. So I was like that's cool cuz I like the look of Destiny. But then the kicker of that is there are like space people who are also following them on this road trip of like you're actually running away from people who want to kill you, but your brother thinks they're on just like a happy little road trip. Um and they're also following him to get the gun back. And then they show up, freeze time, except for Elijah, who has a scar in his arm. And they're like, we're from the future. You're going to be a part of our team. We need that gun back. The only reason why you're able to evaporate it is that scar on your hand and blah, blah, blah. And it was like this huge, huge thing that happens at the end of the movie and never comes back. And it's like,
Just it's like coming from the future and
what
like
the
really
fuck?
cool stuff is going to happen to you, but you're not going to see any of it on film.
Yeah. Like, it's like, yeah, we're from the future. We need to take that gun back. Don't worry, everything will be fine. We'll manipulate time so that James Franco somehow kills himself with this bullet that was going straight, but now it's going backwards. I know how it works. It's just dumb. Like they physically move the bullet and put it in front of James Franco's face. So like the momentum is still there, but it's just like this is so dumb. This is so dumb. If they were two separate movies, I think I would have enjoyed it better. Because the story of a brother on the run who like needs to protect his younger brother, like that is a good story. Also a good story is a kid finding a gun, needing to like use that gun at some point, and then finding out that he's actually gonna be part of like this huge army in the future. Like that is also a cool story. So you can't mash the two. You just can't. It did not work. That being said, I want you to see it, Zach, so I can hear what you think.
I mean, here's the thing: if it ever pops up on any of the streaming things, like I'll definitely take the time to watch it. Like, yeah.
It's just, and Devon didn't like it either, but for the opposite things. So he hated all the sci-fi stuff because it was. I mean, yeah, it was dumb, but yeah.
I mean, if it all feels, I mean, yeah, if none of it like bleeds together well, then that's it. I mean, one half of that movie is just not going to work for any audience member that's watching it, whether they're whatever half they enjoy, the other half is never going to feel satisfying. I don't think.
Yeah. And it just sucks because like I know like if they were separated, I'm almost positive I would have enjoyed both movies. Mashing them together does not work, and it's really upsetting because I was so excited for it. And it was a great cast. The kid who, I don't know his name, but the kid who played Elijah was introducing him, and he was very good. Like, he did a really good job. Like, but it just, I
wonder how easy it is to find the original short film, because
like,
I would be interested to watch that
yes.
and see if that is, because if that is most of the sci-fi stuff, like I bet that's again just from a coherence standpoint, it probably works better just like shortened down to just that.
Yeah.
So
because you would think from the trailers and stuff that the gun itself is almost like another character.
Right.
And
it seems
really
very
not.
important.
Yeah. It's really only comes into play like it really only comes into play 2 times. Is once so he can scare the strip joint people, so they don't beat up his brother. And then like he uses it as a prop to scare them again because they go back and steal money from them. And then at the very end of the movie is when he's like just fucking opens fire on all the loan shark people. And it's like, all right, what? What?
No real statement being
Yeah,
made.
no.
Just if you've got yourself a space gun, you can probably get away from your troubles.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much. Yeah.
uh,
The thing that you described about it being like um the like whole poor situation and like needing to like fight against cops because like whether or not they're dirty cops or whatever, like that it's cops against poor, like that would have been, I'm not kidding when I say it would have been a better movie. Because it would have been like what The Purge talks about and how like low income people are the target of the purge and stuff, and like how disgusting and scary that is. It would have been like, it just would have been a better movie.
yeah.
Because
Well, let's see. If that's okay, so that was made up of two things that didn't quite blend very well. I spent also this weekend watched a couple of things that blend many different elements quite well in a very weird weekend that I spent while I was again playing Pokemon and needed something to
awesome.
play in the background. The first thing I want to talk about, and I don't know if you saw that I tweeted this from the Say Report feed yesterday,
Oh,
is
I think I know what this
is
is.
Evil Dead the musical,
Jesus.
which is fantastic. So
That's good.
Evil Dead the musical is so weird and just I love every weird minute of it. So I originally got the soundtrack to this back when I was either in high school or college, and I don't remember if Sejin got me the soundtrack for Christmas or something, or if I just was like, I found it in like a Newberry Comics one day and went, Evil Dead the musical.
I'm
I have
buying
to know what the
this.
hell this is. Yeah, because either one of those is completely feasible. I'm giving Sejin the credit for now until he later tells me he has no idea what I'm talking about. But um, the soundtrack to this thing, it's so Evil Dead the musical was made by like a theater group in Canada back in like 2007, 2008, something like that,
Okay.
where the way that they structure it is, have you seen the Evil Dead movies?
No.
Like all three
No.
of them?
I've never
Okay.
I haven't seen any of those. I haven't seen Ash versus the Evil Dead or
Yeah.
anything like
I
that.
had a feeling you were gonna say. I know you're not a horror person, so I had a feeling you were
Yeah,
gonna say
no.
that. But um,
We had a poster because Devon really enjoyed the Evil Dead movies. We have a poster, like it's over here, that I've known my entire life, and it's just Ash with like his chainsaw above his head, and there's like a girl over him
yep, that's
or
the Army
whatever.
of Darkness
Yeah,
poster.
it's the Army
Yep.
of Darkness, right? Okay,
The fact
so
that I could tell by
we
the way you
have
described it, I was
so,
like,
and I remember as a kid like seeing that poster and being like, nope, never,
well, it's funny.
never watching that.
You would probably really like Army of
I
Darkness because
probably,
Army of
yeah, I've heard
Darkness
of it.
is
Like,
the least bloody of them,
mm,
and is very much like a, let me think of the best way to describe it, medieval
nice. Okay.
fantasy horror
Yeah.
comedy is how I would describe
The the more I
Ash versus
learn
Evil
about the
Dead.
movies, the more I think I would enjoy them. I just haven't taken the time to actually watch
Yeah.
them.
Well, so it's interesting. So the original Evil Dead was made in like 1983, and it was like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and about six other people literally did exactly what the kids in the movie do, which is they went out to this cabin in the woods they did not have permission to film in, and they filmed this movie like guerrilla style with like
Nice.
one camera and just like whatever they could cobble together for their special effects. And that is the original Evil Dead is a bloody and scary movie. Like, yeah, it gets absurd, but it is a bloody and scary movie. And it is just like to the point where there's like gallons of blood at points,
Yeah.
and it's very much like you just watch everything devolve into this kind of absurd craziness as Ash is like increasingly left alone in this cabin. And then Evil Dead 2 is very much a remake where they completely erase three of the people from that movie, and it just like when he recaps Evil Dead at the beginning of Evil Dead 2, he only mentions him and his girlfriend. They never mention the other three people that got out to that cabin with them. And then same thing in Army of Darkness.
Oh,
So like
so
by the
it's like
time you get
Mighty
to
Ducks
Army of
2.
Darkness, yeah, by Army of Darkness they have like completely they have completely erased anybody but him and Linda but Ash and Linda from that movie, which is fine. It still works. It's just really funny because it means that like Dead by Dawn really is just, it serves very much more as a remake rather than a direct sequel.
Yeah.
So the way so this theater troupe decides that they want to do, they're going to create this musical. And so what it is the first half, Act 1, is Evil Dead, and then the second half, Act 2, is Dead by Dawn, and then they sprinkle in a bunch of the one-liners and monologues from Army of Darkness throughout the whole thing. And what might be the best part about it is that, as in homage to the fact that they erase half the cast, the end of Act 1, Ash is standing there with 4 dead bodies around him and gallons of blood on stage, and these
Oh my
people walk
God.
in the cabin, and he goes, "This isn't what it looks like," and it goes black.
Oh my God.
And when it comes back up, and when the lights come back up, it's him. He's at they redo the last like line of the big ballad that he just sang, and then the people come in the room again, and he turns around, and you realize all of the bodies are gone,
Oh,
and it's
really?
just him. It is just him and his girlfriend's head, who he was like chopping at with a chainsaw on stage. And he goes, "This isn't what it looks like." They're like, "Really? Because it kind of looks like you're a mass murderer." He's like, "What are you talking about? There isn't a giant pile of bodies on stage anymore." And that's like their homage to the fact that these people just disappear from
Nice.
the
Nice.
thing. And it's so very clearly was like a group of people who were definite theater nerds who absolutely loved these movies, like unironically and fully. Like
That's
it
awesome.
was like fan fiction in the best possible way. The soundtrack is great because it's like the music is a mix of all these different kind of musical theater styles. The opening song about going out to the cabin in the woods sounds like would fit in with Grease. Like like it's like the summer lovin' of that thing where they're like in the car. It's like 50s like boppy rock that they're singing
Oh
about
my
going out to this
God.
cabin, and then there's these grand ballads between him and his girlfriend about how they were working at the S Mart together is how they met. And
Oh my
like
God.
they get this great love song ballad, and then it ends with like very clearly they were just ripping off the time warp by doing "Do the Necronomicon" is the name of the song. And
That's.
it is the "We're gonna give you the steps to this song
Oh my
and talk
God.
about doing the Necronomicon." It's so such a blatant like
That's
Rocky
ridiculous.
Horror ripoff. It's great.
That's
And it's
fantastic.
and so and to watch them put this thing together on a stage, like the recording I was watching was a VHS that I think they first put out when they were trying to like shop it around to actually put this
Get it
out.
done. Yeah.
And so like the mix is terrible. You can barely hear the guy playing Ash through like half the damn thing because his mic is not mixed with the rest of the audio
Yeah.
upgrade VHS. The music goes from like stuff will be super loud and then you can't hear anything again, and then something else super loud will happen. And in some ways, it feels like the best way to watch that, because when you watch the original Evil Dead and you're watching it and you're like, this was just like 8 people out in the woods just throwing crap together, and you're like, it never should have worked, and it works beautifully. This recording of this does not work objectively, and yet I watched all hour and a half of it, the giant smile on my face.
That's fantastic. Oh my God.
Um,
Has
and the
it?
guy,
Has it ever? It probably hasn't. Has it ever like gone to an actual stage?
oh yes, so
Oh,
here's
it
the other part.
has.
So they shop this thing around. Bruce Campbell loves this thing. Sam
I'm
Raimi's
sure.
so on
I'm
it, but
sure.
Bruce Campbell loves this thing. The
Yeah.
thing that made me think to go watch it was last night on Twitter. I'm scrolling through, and someone was tweeting at Bruce Campbell and said, "Oh, by the way, I'm about to play Ash in Evil Dead the musical for a show we're gonna do. Do you have any advice on acting?" And
Nice.
he's like, "Yeah, drink." He's like, drink some water, make sure you get some sleep, and also just make sure you bring it or something. Like he just
Nice.
total cocky attitude
That's
about it.
awesome.
But like I love, and I was
As
like,
Bruce
well,
Campbell
that,
does.
I know, I love God. He's so chill about it. And so the guy that they actually have playing Ash, who I don't think plays him in the this thing went off Broadway. That was how I got the original cast recording is the off Broadway cast
Yeah.
recording. And so it not only did that, it then went on to a world tour, and as of like 2017 was playing in like it was like back in Canada, and it was in Hong Kong, and it did
Oh,
like a
wow.
South Korean
right.
show.
All
This
right.
thing
That's
went
impressive.
huge.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it went
impressive. That's pretty
yeah,
awesome.
it went huge. But I had to look the guy up that originally was playing Ash for this recording. Guy's name is Ryan Ward, and if you told me that he was related to Bruce Campbell
You would believe it.
in some way, because it looks like Bruce Campbell in the original Evil
Wow.
Dead, like 6.5 feet tall, skinny as a freaking rail,
Yeah.
giant chin. Like exactly like Bruce Campbell did in 1983 when the first Evil Dead came out, and just like swagger. Like there's like at first couple of songs he's a little awkward, which Ash is if you watch the original thing. Like before he becomes Bruce Campbell, the character later on, especially in like Army of Darkness,
Yeah.
Ash is a very awkward character at first and a very kind of scared guy. And this guy pulls that off. And then as soon as he gets to just start swaggering around stage, he's like loving every minute of it.
That's awesome.
There's a whole scene, which is again based off of Dead by Dawn, where Ash is being driven mad by the house. And so he starts talking to a moose head. And it's great because I think later on they got like a much more realistic looking creepy moose head for like the off-Broadway stuff.
Yeah.
But in this version, it is very much like a Muppet puppet looking moose head. And it's like, and he's like, "Oh, Ash, you should join us down here in hell." Like, and he's like bouncing along with him. Oh man,
That
it's
is
so
the
good.
perfect like cartoon moose voice.
Yeah, it was like and he's just like bouncing around stage, and then this will be the last thing I say about it because it's like the best part when this thing, especially when it went off Broadway. But yeah, I mean, you see this a little bit on this stage thing, but they over exaggerate it when they got a bigger budget to do this.
Yeah.
When this thing went off Broadway, they did the whole Gallagher thing, which was the first three rows got ponchos
Oh, okay.
because they started spraying blood into the audience.
Yep.
And so there's this huge ballad that this guy is singing, beautifully sung, about about his going crazy, and he's going crazy with them, and he has to like cut his hand off, and there's like another scene where he's like cutting into Linda's head, like I said. And so what they did is the scene where his hand gets possessed and he has to cut it off. He goes behind a counter and he picks up the fake chainsaw and he starts hitting his wrist with it, and it's just sprays of blood into the audience as this like carnival crazy music is going on in the background. And then the scene where his girlfriend gets possessed, and it's the end of that first act. He's like singing their love ballad again. So
Oh,
he's like
God.
crying and singing this beautiful ballad, and this chainsaw to her head, and again just sprays of blood everywhere.
My
As
God.
it's like covering his face. So he's like belting out this ballad as like corn syrup blood is just spraying him top to bottom in the face.
Wow.
And it is just like absurd. It is so good.
That's amazing.
uh
That's
so
awesome.
oh man,
Oh my God.
I love when just like a group of fans just got together, like we love this thing, we're gonna do it,
Yeah.
and then we'll pay for the rights later somehow, but let's put
Yeah.
it together first.
I mean, and if it works, like why not be happy about it? Like Bruce Campbell, he has no reason not to be excited about that and not to like love it, because it from what you say, it like very much follows the feel of Evil Dead. Like it's just fun. It's just
It's
like
just
turn
like
your brain
slapstick-
off.
yeah,
It's turn your
slapstick
brain off,
comedy.
have fun.
Yep, it's like slapstick comedy mixed with these like horrific things that are just
Oh my God.
how can we
that's
get the
funny.
most gallons of blood around everything
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
great. I love it.
So that was the first fan-made thing I watched this weekend. The other one was I needed another like Nuzlocke to put on in the background because I had watched the one I was watching, and I was just, again, it's really good background noise when you're like, okay, I already know how Pokemon works, so I don't have to pay attention to it. So
Wait,
go on YouTube.
did you need another Nuzlocke in the background or another TV show in the background?
Well, not someone playing a Nuzlocke on YouTube, which served as like a TV show that I played in the background.
Okay, I got
Um,
you. All right.
Yeah, so I was
I
watching.
wasn't
I was
sure
like,
if you also had a Nuzlocke in the background while
No,
you
no.
were doing a Nuzlocke.
no, like while I was playing Pokemon Yellow and like mindlessly grinding
Got
through
you.
that,
Okay.
I was like, yeah, putting stuff on. So I go on YouTube and I'm like, I just Pokemon Nuzlocke is a search term.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
Gets you a ton of stuff. Scrolling through the options, and I see one that says Pokemon Sweet Nuzlocke.
Okay.
It's like, what the hell is this? I'm gonna watch that now because I don't know what you're talking about. And I start watching the playlist, and how much do you know about like fan-made Pokemon games? Like the like off the like just like completely modded, like kind of like Pokemon Revolution, but made very much to be like single player
Yeah.
Pokemon games.
Um, I know about a few of them. Like I've seen Pokemon. I don't know. There was like Phoenix or whatever. There was Pokemon Stars that came out. So
And
I
I think
know
Uranium might be the big one that like
Uranium. Yep.
is like a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah. There was like another like nuclear one where like a nuclear bomb went off during it. But I have never like really got into them or like really watched any of them. I think the closest one I watched was like I started an episode of Stars and I was like, I'm done. I don't need
Yeah.
this. But yeah, no. So I know that they exist. And I know that some of them are ridiculous and crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, so I guess because there's like a program that you can find that has basically all of every Pokemon that's ever existed, like in their 2D sprites and like pre-coded. This is how a Pokemon game runs. So all
Mm.
you've got to do is really slap in your artwork, and you're like you can change dialogue and stuff, and it's very easy to make a Pokemon fan game these days.
Nice.
So Pokemon Suite is one of these, and what they did was someone took the map from Pokemon Fire Red and they turned it into Candyland.
Awesome. I am
And
on
so
board.
everything is gingerbread houses and icing
Oh.
and like chocolate.
Oh my
And
god.
that includes the Pokemon who have become what they call Poke Sweets. And Poke Sweets, instead of being animals, are baked goods
Oh my god.
that are also monsters. And so like there are they start simple with like the banana who turns into like the banana split banana, or like the three starters they changed up so Bulbasaur is now like a cheesecake.
Oh
And
my god.
it's called like Chocosaur or something.
I see. Here's my problem
Squirtle
with
is
here's the problem with the fan games is that when I find out they exist, I want to play them, and I don't know where to find them to play them, because like I would play that today. I would play that right now. I would start
it's like-
playing Pokemon
and
Sweet right now.
What was crazy was how elaborate this got. So like they literally I have no idea they mixed in 3 or 4 different generations of Pokemon, and because the person was doing a Nuzlocke, I have no idea how many there actually are in this game versus what they found and who they fought and all
Yeah.
of that. But so you get the 3 starters. You've got Chocosaur, who is Bulbasaur as a like chocolate cake. You have Strawmander, who is Charmander as a strawberry. You have Squirpie, who is just Squirtle, but their shell has been replaced by a cherry pie. And it even goes as deep as to change all of the types and the advantages and disadvantages to be like, this is a chocolate type Pokemon, and this is a vanilla type Pokemon, and this one is cherry, and this one is grape.
Oh my god.
And there's like a chart that's like it's like cherry is strong against strawberry and raspberry is weak to banana but strong against lime, and
Oh my
lemon is
God.
strong, like oh my like the insanity of how deep this goes. And it is a full game
I want to play
top to
it.
bottom. I watched this guy when I say I watched this all day, I mean that Sunday, Saturday, one of these days at like 8 o'clock in the morning when I woke up and I started searching for this. I turned it on and it was like after midnight that I finished because I had like just let the whole playlist run of like 37 episodes of this guy playing through and completing this Nuzlocke of this Pokemon fan game.
Who was it? Who were you watching?
One of the most YouTubiest YouTubers I've ever watched. Some guy named Munching Orange.
Okay.
No, but
I've never heard.
as soon as I hit the first video and it was like when people make fun of YouTubers, that was how this guy was talking normally, and it was a
Oh,
little weird because like
God.
I hit play and he's like, "What up, everybody? Hey, we're just gonna play through Pokemon Sweet. Just remember to hit that like button." I was like, "Oh God, please stop! I'm glad
Yep.
I'm not playing this full volume all day." I got used to it over time.
Yeah,
But I
that's
was
like
oh.
there's a YouTuber like A Drive who I watch who I I find like he's not like that anymore, but he started out kind of as that, and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I also found out this thing is like 3 years old that I'm watching. Like,
What?
so I was like, oh, this was posted in 2015. It's
Oh,
like,
oh my
yeah.
god. I
But
want to play it so
okay,
bad.
I'm gonna tell you the thing that you're really gonna like. That you're really gonna want to get your hands on this now.
Oh
I saw
god.
what they made Eevee.
Oh
I
god.
saw what they made Eevee. Eevee is a cupcake
No!
named Cupvee,
No.
and so it's the Eevee head and the coloring, but like the top of the cupcake is like the little bit around its chest, and then it's just in a little thing, and it's got a swirl on the top where its tail would come.
No.
Didn't get to see what Eevee evolves into because he lost it, but but
Yeah.
yes, I got to see Cupvee in like
I want it.
and like all of the and like all of the evolutions of the starters, and like Pikachu is like an orange like sherbet popsicle and is an orange type Pokemon. and,
Oh
and then it's like
my
you
god.
start out like, and it's like grossly sweet stuff. So it's like you start off in Cookie Town and you
Oh
go
my
up the chocolate road to Rainbow City.
I want to play this so
Oh man.
badly. You don't even know how bad I
Like,
want to play this game.
and like I just like I watched this thing all day, and I'm watching how elaborate all of it is, and like they changed the dialogue to all of the gym leaders. So like even though some of the sprites are still the same, and like some of it is just like they just changed the colors from like gray to pink
Yeah.
in some places, but then it's like, but like Brock is actually a chocolate type trainer now, and these are his two Pokemon here, and like Onyx is made up of rock candy
Oh
and
my
is bright pink. and, and I was like, all I could think was like someone sat down for months in their life and changed this whole game in this like glorious like fan fiction love of Pokemon and figured out all of these type matches. Um, and then the other thing they did, weirdly, is that the entire game is played in duel battles. So it's like two
Oh,
on two
okay.
Pokemon battles
All
the whole
right.
time, which was like weird to watch someone try and nuzlocke something like that.
Yeah,
But it was like
that's
every trainer battle is a 2-on-2 battle
yeah, that seems
instead
difficult.
of a 1-on-1.
That's crazy. That's
But
awesome
it's
though.
like, and it was just like, and some of it was like they didn't just change out the map; they literally like reshaped the map and changed up the area. So like the area north of what was Cerulean City, and I don't remember, like there's no Nugget Bridge fight anymore, but you get up there and it's the mango orchards
Oh my
instead.
god.
So they changed everything into like mango ice cream cone trees around, and it's like it was it was insane to watch, and like to be like someone like did all of the work to change all of these sprites over, so like all of the Pokemon look different and all of their moves have to match up to certain things, and all of the dialogue and the story has to change, and it was like beautiful and crazy at the same time.
Yeah, that's super impressive. Are the moves kind of like dessert based too, or are they the same moves?
I mean, the animations are the same, but like instead of it being rock throw, it's apple throw.
Awesome.
So
I'm on board.
because Squirtle is an apple pie, he learns apple throw instead of water gun,
I'm on
and
board.
so like,
This is amazing. I
oh,
want it. I want it now. I want to play it now. That is literally what I hate about fan made things. It's like I don't know if I'll ever be able to get my hands on that. Like I just want to play it now.
well, there's 16 hours of it you can watch.
That's true. I'll just do that, I guess. And
Oh
I just no,
man.
because then I gotta watch Cup V die. I don't want to do that.
Oh man, and then okay, and then just to go to like not to get like negative for a second here, but it was also one of those instances where I was reminded why I don't watch a lot of Let's Plays, and that is that sometimes when I watch people play games in a different way that I would play them, it stresses me out,
Yes. Yep.
and so like half the time that I was watching him go into fights or gag or die and stuff, I was like, why are you not taking the time to learn these things?
Yeah.
And it's like, clearly because he's probably wants to get this out as fast as possible, and it really doesn't matter. And at the same time, I'm like, that's not how you play Pokemon. What are you doing?
You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Oh man.
Uh,
Well, I think that's
so that was
I think that's a good spot.
yeah, that was my weekend. So we're good.
That's awesome. The
Uh,
only thing that I have there's two things I have left to say. It's that this weekend I am competing in a video game competition. So wish me luck on that. I've been
do
practicing.
you know the games yet, or is it
Yes,
something
I
that they're
do.
going to say? Okay.
So it's all retro games, which I don't have a lot of experience with. But like I've been practicing Ninja Gaiden, like Road Blasters, and Mario 64, and Vector Man, and all these ridiculous games.
Vector
But you
Man.
want to know what the game I hate right now is Super Ghouls and Ghosts, because
Oh
that
yeah.
game is a freaking monster, and I hate
Yep.
it. But yeah, so I'm doing that this weekend. So look forward to hearing how that turned out next week.
Is it streaming anywhere, or is it
I don't think it's
just at
streaming.
the?
No, I think it's just at the convention.
Okay.
So it's just yeah, it's kind of like I am imagining it to be kind of like the Wizard. But it's not going to be like the Wizard at all.
In that Fred Savage won't be there.
Yes. Which Devin and I are going to watch the Wizard on Friday night.
Oh
To
God.
prepare. But my other thing is, and this I don't know why I thought of it again, but everybody needs to go watch the 4th episode of season 1 of Cuckoo.
Of what
Right
now?
Of Cuckoo. Of
What is
Cuckoo.
cuckoo? I'm sorry.
Do you remember that picture I sent you of that cat
Yes.
with the sticky note on its head?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So that cat is the reason why you need to watch that 4th episode of Cuckoo. It's
Okay.
Cuckoo. Basically, it's Andy Samberg. It's a British television show with Andy Samberg, who he is like a huge like hippie spiritual guy, and he marries the daughter of this who like was on a path to become like a lawyer or something like that, and now she's kind of hippie-ish. It's
Oh
so
my
good.
God! It's
So good.
God! You just described an actual sick. You just described Dharma and Greg. That's what you just described. Okay. Anyway.
You should watch all of it, but you should definitely watch, if you don't want to start a new show, definitely watch the 4th episode. Because, oh my God, it's so good. So good. That's pretty much it. That's all I have.
Awesome. Well, yeah. This has been. Wait, is it? Do I close out if you open? We never
don't-
actually solidified that.
I don't know.
before.
I'll close it out. This has been.
Okay.
This has been. I almost just said this has been Siege and Sarawik, and I don't know why. Hi, Siege.
How's Utah? Okay.
This has been Say Report. It's the S. It was the S that really messed me up. This has been Say Report Jr., a podcast that you should be listening to, downloading and subscribing to each week. I probably screwed that up.
Nope. You did it right.
I did it
Good.
right? Yes.
Yep.
Every week, you can follow us on Twitter at sayreportjr. You can also find each of us individually. I am at Dale's Brain.
And I am at Zerwisky.
And that's it, everybody. Hope you had a good time.
Oh, let's all get ice cream and hope it's not a Pokemon.
Oh, no! Oh!
Take it away, Liz, before she realizes what I've said. Go.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dale Decker and Zach Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.